In the early hours of Sunday, violence shattered the heart of Brooklyn. The city, usually alive with the hum of late-night traffic and distant laughter, was suddenly silenced by the sound of gunfire. For many, it was just another weekend night, but for those in Crown Heights, it would become a night they would never forget. The taste of the city lounge in Crown Heights, once alive with music and laughter, became a scene of chaos. What began as a celebration, a gathering of friends and neighbors, was transformed in an instant. The familiar glow of neon lights was replaced by the harsh glare of police spotlights, and the music was drowned out by sirens and shouts. Just before 3:30 a.m. on August 17, 2025, gunfire erupted, turning celebration into terror. Witnesses recall the confusion and panic as people scrambled for cover, unsure of where the shots were coming from or if they would be safe. In a matter of seconds, the atmosphere shifted from joy to fear, and the sense of security that many felt was shattered. This wasn't a distant headline. It happened here, to our neighbors. The people affected were not strangers on the news, but familiar faces from the block, the ones you greet at the corner store or see walking their dogs in the park. The reality of violence struck close to home, leaving many in shock and disbelief. The illusion of safety vanished in seconds, leaving a deep scar on the community. Parents held their children a little tighter, and friends checked in on one another, trying to make sense of the senseless. The streets that once felt welcoming now seemed uncertain, and the community was left to grapple with the aftermath. Crown Heights, known for its vibrant spirit, was left reeling. This neighborhood, celebrated for its diversity and resilience, found itself united in grief. Conversations at local cafes and barbershops turned somber as residents tried to process what had happened and what it meant for their sense of belonging. The lounge, a local gathering spot, now stands as a symbol of loss. Where laughter once echoed, there is now only silence, broken by the occasional visitor leaving flowers or lighting a candle in memory of those affected. The boarded-up doors serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. Sirens replaced the city's quiet dawn, signaling a night that would not be forgotten. The flashing lights and the constant presence of law enforcement made it clear that something irrevocable had happened. For many, sleep was impossible as the events replayed in their minds. Streets filled with flashing lights and yellow tape marking the aftermath. The neighborhood was cordoned off, and investigators worked through the night, piecing together what had happened. Residents watched from their windows, hoping for answers, but knowing that some wounds would take much longer to heal. For residents, the memory of that morning will linger. The conversations, the news reports, and the shared grief have become part of the community's story. People are left wondering how to move forward, how to restore a sense of normalcy, and how to support one another in the days ahead. It's a stark reminder of how quickly peace can be shattered. In a city that prides itself on resilience, moments like these test the strength of its people. But even in the face of tragedy, there is hope that the community will come together, heal, and reclaim its spirit. A night meant for joy became a heartbreaking symbol of terror. Yet as candles flicker in the darkness and neighbors gather to mourn, there is a quiet determination to remember, to rebuild, and to ensure that the spirit of Crown Heights endures. The tragedy's true cost is measured not just in the number of lives lost, but in the futures stolen, the dreams cut short, and the families left to pick up the pieces. Each candle flickering in the night represents a story interrupted, a life that will never be the same. The community gathers, united in grief, searching for answers and comfort in the face of senseless violence. 3 young men, Marvin St, just 19 years old, Amadou Diallo, 27, and Jamel Childs, 35, were killed in an instant, their lives and potential erased in a moment of chaos. Their faces now look back at us from photographs, reminders of the vibrant individuals they were and the futures they should have had. 9 others, ranging in age from 19 to 61, were wounded, each with their own story, their own families, their own hopes for tomorrow. For them, the journey to recovery is just beginning, filled with uncertainty, pain, and the long road of healing both body and mind. Behind every name is a family shattered by loss, parents and siblings left to mourn, friends struggling to make sense of the sudden absence. The community comes together, holding each other close, trying to find solace in shared sorrow. Survivors now face emotional scars that may never fully heal. The trauma lingers, manifesting in sleepless nights, anxiety, and the constant replaying of that night's events. Support groups and counseling offer some relief, but the path forward is uncertain. Marvin was on the cusp of adulthood, with dreams and ambitions that will never be realized. He was a son, a friend, a young man with his whole life ahead of him, now remembered only in memories and photographs. Amadou and Jamel were deeply rooted in their community, known for their kindness, their laughter, and their willingness to help others. Their absence leaves a void that cannot be filled, a silence where there was once joy and connection. Their deaths are not just statistics, they are profound personal losses that ripple outward, touching everyone who knew them. Each framed photo at the vigil is a testament to a life that mattered, a person who was loved. The ripple effect of this tragedy touches every family, every friend, every neighbor. The pain is shared, the grief collective, as the community struggles to process what has happened and how to move forward. For the injured, relief at surviving is mixed with anxiety, trauma, and the daunting reality of recovery. Families wait anxiously by hospital bedsides, hoping for good news, fearing the worst, and grappling with the uncertainty of what comes next. The pain is shared by all, a stark reminder of the devastation gun violence brings. The community's response, rallies, vigils, and calls for change, reflects a collective determination to honor the victims and demand a safer future. This event leaves an indelible mark on Crown Heights, a neighborhood forever changed by loss, but also united in resilience and hope for healing. Amid the chaos and confusion that erupted on that fateful night, the city's heartbeat seemed to skip. Sirens wailed, red and blue lights painted the streets, and the air was thick with fear and uncertainty. In the midst of this turmoil, countless lives were changed in an instant. Stories of survival began to emerge, each one revealing the profound human cost of violence. Survivors clung to one another, their faces etched with shock and disbelief, trying to make sense of the nightmare they had just endured. Among them was a mother, who had come out that evening simply to enjoy a rare night with friends. As shots rang out near the entrance, she instinctively dropped to the floor, her heart pounding in her chest. In that terrifying moment, her thoughts raced to her children waiting for her at home, and she prayed desperately for the chance to see them again. Her whispered plea, "God, please help me," echoed through the darkness, capturing both the terror and the fragile hope that defined those harrowing minutes. She clung to faith, willing herself to survive for the sake of her family. Against all odds, she found a way out. Crawling and running through the chaos, she finally escaped to safety. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she broke down in tears as she embraced a loved one outside, her relief palpable in the night air. Her story is a powerful reminder that the victims of such tragedies are not just statistics or headlines. They are mothers, fathers, friends, and neighbors, real people whose lives are forever altered by violence. The community gathered in the aftermath, holding vigils and supporting one another, united in grief and determination. Inside the lounge, panic swept through the crowd. People pushed and stumbled in a frantic rush to escape, some sustaining injuries as they tried to flee. The fear was overwhelming, and the scars, both physical and emotional, will linger long after the night has faded. The mother's voice, trembling yet resolute, now echoes the trauma that so many will carry with them forever. She has spoken out, sharing her experience in hopes of helping others heal and raising awareness about the urgent need for change. Her survival stands as a small beacon of hope amid overwhelming tragedy. As the sun rises over the city, she looks forward with cautious optimism, determined to reclaim a sense of normalcy for herself and her children. Yet her story also underscores a painful truth. No one should have to fear for their life while enjoying a night out. The sense of safety that once existed in these spaces has been shattered, replaced by anxiety and vigilance. Her plea is more than just a cry for help, it is a call to action for all of us. We must come together as a community to demand safer spaces, to support those affected, and to ensure that such tragedies are never repeated. No parent should ever have to pray just to make it home. It is our collective responsibility to build a world where every family can feel safe, and every night out ends with a joyful return. Understanding how a dispute escalated to mass violence is crucial. Witnesses say it began with an argument between two groups at the back of the lounge. Tensions seemed to cool, but the peace was short-lived. The conflict reignited, quickly spiraling out of control. Words turned to gunfire, transforming a crowded venue into chaos. The decision to bring guns into a dispute led to tragedy for many innocent bystanders. Video footage shows panic as people scrambled for safety. some injured in the stampede. The joyful atmosphere vanished in seconds. This timeline shows how quickly conflict can turn deadly when guns are involved. The community is left to grapple with the senselessness of it all. In the aftermath, city leaders responded with sorrow and resolve. Mayor Eric Adams called the violence a deep scar on the community, deploying crisis management teams to Crown Heights. These teams offer support and help prevent further violence. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch confirmed the shooting was likely gang-related, part of a larger struggle against organized violence. She noted that despite progress in reducing shootings citywide, one tragedy can shatter any sense of security. The city's response aims to break the cycle of violence and begin healing. The work is far from over. As Crown Heights grieves, the NYPD works to bring the shooters to justice. Detectives believe up to 4 shooters were involved, making the investigation complex. 42 shell casings from multiple firearms were recovered, each a vital clue. A firearm found nearby is being tested for links to the crime. No arrests have been made. Police urge anyone with information to come forward. Witness testimony and surveillance footage are key to identifying those responsible. The investigation is a top priority, reflecting the gravity of the crime. The path to justice is methodical, but the commitment is unwavering. The community waits for answers and accountability. This isn't the first time violence has struck the Taste of the City lounge. Less than a year ago, a man was shot outside the same venue, a warning sign unheeded. The lounge's troubled history now faces scrutiny from officials and the community. High-profile shootings like this fuel public anxiety and demand stronger safety measures. The focus now ensuring venues don't become magnets for violence. The shooting left Crown Heights gripped by fear and uncertainty. Residents worry about retaliation, disrupting daily life and eroding trust. Crisis management teams and community leaders are working to mediate conflicts and support those at risk. Vigils and meetings offer spaces for collective grief and resolve. The community refuses to be defined by violence, coming together to demand change. Local efforts are the foundation for lasting peace. The challenge turning grief and fear into a movement for safety. Crown Heights is fighting to reclaim its sense of security. In tragedy's wake, hope is hard to find, but resilience emerges. The path forward demands unity, compassion, and a commitment to end gun violence. Crisis teams, community vigils, and support for victims' families are first steps. Real change requires investment in youth, mental health, and conflict resolution. Stronger gun safety measures are essential to prevent future tragedies. This is not just a political issue. It's about protecting our communities. We must honor the lives lost by refusing to let fear divide us. Let's channel grief into action and build a safer city together. The most meaningful tribute is a future free from violence. Crown Heights stands united, determined to heal and move forward.